What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Jobbers and Goons, and today we have an amazing video concept coming to you, pretty much inspired by the likes of my boy Thunder God. Go check out his channel. He's a Naruto guy. But this is a character swapping roles, but we're going to be doing this with verses that I specialize in. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And the first video of this series is Dr. Fate and Doctor Strange swapping roles in the fights slash ops. Real quick before we get into it, make sure to smash the like button. Let's get this to 200 likes if you are a fan of this concept and this style of video and you want to see me continue this series. If you want to join the Discord, do so. We have games, prizes, giveaways, mores, and D&Ds, as well as if you want to see your favorite character on the series or your favorite content, as well as you want to see anything on my channel, you can hit me up to talk about video purchases. I currently have deals running. But anyway, getting into this, I'm going to break it into two parts. One for Dr. Fate, one for Doctor Strange, to run through how they do in each other's shoes. I'm going to give you my assessment of basically two categories of battles. One, the breezes and some efforts. This ranges from they probably slap them to decent fight, but more of a warm-up slash okay fight, nothing crazy. Then we have the battles and potential losses, where they have good fights and potentially could lose. With that out of the way, I hope you guys are excited. Settle on in, and remember, get in the comment section. Let me know which two characters should be next in this series. But without further ado, let's begin. Now we have the first one up to bat, Dr. Fate. Now, what of both, by the way, have 21 opponents slash battles each to review? How would this go for the breezes and some efforts for Dr. Fate? First up is Baron Mordo. Mordo is a very formidable sorcerer, one of the greatest to ever live. The problem is he's in the shadow of Strange. He can't beat Strange, but he kept showing the fuck up. I think he gets absolutely mauled by Dr. Fate. Fate wouldn't have time for that shit. He would get him out of there quick, fast, and in a hurry. Next, we have Zoda of the Underworld or Netherworld. Zoda draws magic from the Nether Realm beyond the Chaos Layer. While, yes, potentially his magic is that strong, he's kind of an idiot. Got absolutely washed by Doctor Strange, and I definitely see him getting folded if he were to encounter Dr. Fate in the same circumstances. Next, we have Loki. While Loki is very powerful and capable of being a threat to many characters, his nature and how he operates, especially within the classic era, this is something that Dr. Fate would not be shy about getting rid of. He would want to kill him, destroy him immediately. Loki's getting run off the block. I don't think he'd fuck with Dr. Fate because of Naboo. He would be like, alright, there's something in that helmet that's way too fucking strong. I don't want any problems with this guy. He's a menace. Next, we have Agamon of the Purple Dimension. While his beam struggles are of note, and he's pretty powerful, he's also kind of dumb. Got punked by Doctor Strange and basically told, don't do any of this stupid shit again, or you're going to get beat up again, and got humbled. I think the same would go with Dr. Fate. I don't think Dr. Fate and Naboo would have any issue dealing with Agamon, even if it comes down to a power struggle. He gets washed. Next, we have the Demon's Disciple. The Demon's Disciple was more so a sorcerer that was dangerous for what his magic was potentially capable of in terms of like sealing you and stuff. But in a fight, once you get past his hacks and tricks, he wasn't much. I think that's his problem with Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate's going to melt through the illusions and hacks and just beat his ass when it's time. He's got a crazy right hand too, like Doctor Strange. Next, we have Toboro. Toboro, while yes, he is a ruler of an entire dimension, he's supposed to be incredibly powerful, someone that can be mentioned among the names of like Hell Lords. He's kind of dumb. He fights stupid. He was losing to Strange in a brawl, had to cheat against him. He's not it. I'm sorry. Toboro's kind of a jobber. I think Dr. Fate would do pretty well if he were to have to pull up on him. Next up, we have Rasputin. While Rasputin is someone that was noted to be perhaps a tougher Mordo, what the fuck does that get you? Let's A. Let's keep it a bean. Can we be honest? People in the back, can we be fucking honest about this? What's that mean? This won't matter. Dr. Fate would melt Rasputin if they were to go up against each other. Scientist Supreme and Voltorg, they were like threats to the universe. They could manipulate everything within natural law and like the stuff that scientifically governs reality. That's below the plane Dr. Fate operates on. That's not much. That will get his ass beat. He's setting himself to get stomped out if he were to go against Dr. Fate. I think the Scientist Supreme and Voltorg's an easy come up for the likes of Dr. Fate. We then have Dr. Stranger, who is essentially a classic Dr. Strange, but without the sauce. Like, he just didn't have as much reps, wasn't as crafty. He did have his power, but not really any of the sauce, and I think that's a bad matchup for Dr. Stranger. I think Fate gets through him pretty easily just because he doesn't bring enough to the table. And then lastly, for the breezes and some efforts section, we have Nightmare. Well, yes, Nightmare is powerful. We did see him often matching up with Strange in the classic era, and he was an idiot. Like, Nightmare is easy to run up on and just bamboozle or outright beat. I feel like Naboo, especially if Naboo is called upon by Dr. Fate's host, Nightmare's in trouble. I just see him getting fucked up. I don't see Nightmare being a good matchup. Like, I see him caving to Dr. Fate a lot. So, for the breezes and some efforts, the total comes to 10 for Dr. Fate. Let's move on to the battles and potential losses / the real brawls. First up, we have Dormammu. Dormammu, the ruler of the Dark Dimension, quite formidable, especially in the classic era. In fact, he was notorious for being able to go toe-to-toe and stand up to the likes of Eternity, even stalemating him in a titanic clash. Dormammu has plenty of power. He has a realm capable of giving some problems to the likes of Dr. Fate. However, I do feel like Dr. Fate can pull it out against Dormammu, especially when using the likes of Naboo. He would be able to take him down, but the process of getting there would be actually pretty difficult. Next, we have Shumagorath. Shumagorath is tricky because he is someone that can easily rival the likes of Dormammu in power, and he's a character who has this weird thing where if you kill him, you become him. And it would be interesting to see how that interacts with the Helmet of Naboo. I doubt it's able to take over. While he is tricky, has some caveats in his eldritch, problematic ways, I don't see Shuma taking down Fate. I do see Fate clutching up in that instance. Tazza of Infinity was kind of an interesting opponent to talk about. Does basically master and rule one of the edges of the embodies of Infinity, calling upon ancient and crazy magic to make him especially dangerous. I do think he's a tricky fight and has an arsenal to be weird for Dr. Fate, and could potentially catch him, but nah, I see Fate clutching up most times. But I think that's an interesting opponent to talk about. That would be kind of a tough fight. Next is the first person we've run into that I think actually could potentially beat Dr. Fate. This is Kalu. Now, Kalu is most notorious for being the hated former master of the Ancient One. He taught the Ancient One everything. Got banished to Oblivion, learned magic within Oblivion, and came out essentially nearly cooking a very seasoned classic Doctor Strange. Classic Doctor Strange had to use the Book of Vishanti to just hold him off, and eventually was able to send him back, but I feel like this Kalu is intelligent enough, has a crazy enough arsenal of magic and power, just raw power, having escaped from Oblivion, to, I believe, potentially take out Dr. Fate before Naboo can fully be introduced, or even worse, he could take the helmet, given how intelligent he is and how great of a magic user he is. Next is Umar. Umar is the sister to Dormammu. She was someone that in the classic era was compared to at least being relative to him, potentially even being worse than Dormammu. She layer bombs and layer stacks people when she fights them. Like, she'll send several layers of the Dark Dimension at you at once. And I think this is the reason why the realm probably gets nuked by Dr. Fate and Naboo. They probably get sick of that shit at this point. While it's a tough fight and a tough out, they probably take out the Dark Dimension with Umar in charge. Given how crazy the bitch is, Naboo's gonna need to see her go. Next up is Zom. Zom really got his rep from being the big bully of a conceptual being that even Eternity and Dormammu feared. In fact, they couldn't take him one-on-one. They had to prep and team up to take down the likes of Zom. Zom, however, has a really stupid fucking weakness that can be exploited if you snatch his hair. Given the nature of Zom and how plenty of characters were willing to give this information to Strange just to see him win, this will be the likely scenario with Dr. Fate. So that's hard to ignore. I feel like it's a tough-ass fight, especially power for power. Zom's going to lose to the speed and brilliance of Fate, who, like Strange, will likely also be given intel on Zom, and I just don't see that going well for Zom. Next, we have Living Tribunal. In this classic era, especially, the version of Tribunal that showed up, it outright frightened Zom. Zom wanted no part of it, was beyond Zom and where he had been sealed away. And this is the same one that would be pulling up on Dr. Fate. I actually see Dr. Fate clutching up on this tribunal, given the source of power with Naboo and how it's been compared to God's power and the presence and stuff like that, as well as it can be one of the cornerstones to resist the anti-life entity. I see him having enough to bamboozle and beat Tribunal, bare minimum, get his respect, but I don't see Naboo's power being controlled or residing within the control of Tribunal, and that I see that being the reason he really wins. Sorry, Hairball. And then next we have an interesting one, Nebulos with the Tribunal staff. Nebulos was this conceptual being basically on the edge of existence that stole the Living Tribunal's staff. I do see this being a problem for Fate, as Fate likely wouldn't cooperate in the same way with Tribunal, would try to just muscle him and all that. And I do think this non-jobbing, basically form of Tribunal with his own conceptual powers would be a problem for Fate. Likely could take him down in that initial encounter, because I just don't see Fate approaching the battle the same way as Strange. So that's another potential loss for, in my opinion, Dr. Fate. We next have Galactus. We saw Strange have to pull up on him when he was giving people problems in New York. We'd see the same with Fate. I see this being a tough battle. Galactus is a tough cosmic being, but the version that was sent to Earth, I don't see it being enough to take down Dr. Fate. I see Fate bringing down this Galactus after a decent fight. It will be a tough battle, but he's going down. Next, we have Adam Warlock with the Infinity Gauntlet. Now, yes, Warlock is accessing an crazy amount of power in the classic era with the full Infinity Gauntlet, but classic Doctor Strange was able to take it apart. I feel Dr. Fate would be able to do the same thing. Plus, Adam Warlock's not scaring anyone with his intelligence. I don't know. This might be a tough battle given how formidable the gauntlet is, but Fate should be able to bring something down of that magnitude. Last one is Doctor Doom. Now, Doctor Doom is a character that's going to have observed Fate taking on these several beings, how he's operating. And as a result, I feel like Doctor Doom would likely prep for him and be prepared to try to get that helmet, and I think he would. I actually do see him being a most likely loss for Dr. Fate, as he will concoct a way to get that helmet, and Naboo would love the intelligence and arcane abilities of Doctor Doom. He's a perfect host. So I don't see that going well for Dr. Fate. I actually see Doom taking that. So overall, for the battles and potential losses, he had 10 of them, with 3, in my opinion, being potential losses. We're now going to move on to Doctor Strange in the gauntlet he has to run. First off, let's start with the breezes and some efforts. First, we have Wotan. Now, Wotan's kind of like the Jobber Mordo for Dr. Fate. He can do some magic, pop around and stuff. Nothing crazy to Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange would melt that bitch. I don't see him having a problem with Wotan. Next, we have the Inhuman Thoth Sorcerer. This is a being that took the Book of Thoth with ancient unknown magic from Atlantis and was trying to wild out. Terrible durability. Once he gets into a slugfest with Doctor Strange, he's getting absolutely melted. I don't see that going well for the Sorcerer. Next, we have Gangster Superman. This is basically an alt reality Superman that's a gangster. He's kind of a fucking idiot, and while he is strong and capable, he's stupid. I see him getting put down by classic Doctor Strange, who's not going to mess around with him. We next have Lady Blaze. Lady Blaze is someone who could potentially be extremely capable, given her brother could take on Naran, and she comes from like a Hell Lord style lineage. However, Lady Blaze is kind of an idiot, doesn't bring anything crazy to the table, and I foresee her really struggling with the likes of classic Doctor Strange, who likely ends up melting the bitch. Next, we have the Great Beast. While this beast was portrayed to have ties to biblical powers, it did not really bring anything crazy to the table, and Dr. Fate was able to like show up and just restrict it / keep it calm, put it down with his own powers. I'm sure Classic Strange, who by the way was brought back in modern times, so you could say modern times Strange as well, going all out, shouldn't have an issue with this beast. Next, we have the Super Amp Scarab. This was a scarab brought to its peak power, and it was capable of crushing the helmet of Naboo, although the helmet just brought itself back. This scarab is actually quite capable and powerful, but it doesn't bring anything crazy to the table in terms of versatility or unique attacks, so Classic Strange shouldn't have a problem maneuvering around it and figuring out how to take it down. Next, we have the embodiment of jealousy. This was a conceptual being that, while yes, on paper it is powerful given what it represents, it's nothing new to someone like Classic Strange or Modern Strange who have dealt with conceptual beings, and should be an easy takedown and seal away for Strange. Now that brings us to a total of 7 for the breezes and some efforts. Let's move on to battles and potential losses. First, we have Naagal in the World of Dead. This is a Hell Lord with a Hell Lord-like realm. Think of this as like a mid-Dormammu. Probably not to the extreme level of Dormammu or scaling as high, but Naagal is capable, the World of Dead is formidable. Doctor Strange wouldn't have an easy time with this, but I do feel he'd be able to eventually take down Naagal. Next, we have the Lords of Chaos. This is obviously conceptual beings, archetypal beings even, with extreme power. They're kind of dumb though, like they're not that smart. It'd probably be a mid-level with his ability to take them down through hacks, but they do have potential through their raw power, so it has to be noted that's not an easy takedown just due to their raw nature. Next, we have Van Diemen, or Damon, the ruler of a chaos realm. I think this is actually a tough battle. Mid to high diff. A little more capable than Lords of Chaos given his crafty nature. This won't be an easy out for Doctor Strange. I see him having to call upon certain deities to take him down, perhaps seal him away. But we do know Strange can seal beings away as far as Oblivion, so he does have crazy sealing hacks, which probably would give him the edge over someone like Van. Next, we have the Rogue Lords of Chaos and Order. Again, these beings are no joke when it comes to power. This is something that's going to probably be mid to high diff just because Strange doesn't have the raw nuking power of Naboo. He just doesn't. So he's going to have to call upon a lot of shit to get rid of Lords Chaos and Order. But I do feel like he is better at sealing than Dr. Fate is, so he might go with the sealing technique. Regardless, won't be an easy out, but I do see him getting the job done. Next, we have Spectre. This is the first of the probable losses for me. I see Doctor Strange, even if he has a little bit of prep, I don't see it going well for him with Spectre. Oftentimes Dr. Fate saw himself on the losing end of Spectre as well. That's likely how this shit's gonna go. I'm just being honest. It won't go well. I'm gonna have to give the edge to Dr. Fate. I'm sorry, not Dr. Fate, Spectre. Similar to how Spectre had the edge over Dr. Fate, I think he'd have the edge over Strange. Next, we have the Gray Man. This is someone we can't sleep on. This is a being who can manipulate powers of dreams, as well as he's taken down Justice League members. This is a tough fight for Strange. He has crazy stats and hacks, but Strange has fought concepts like Dreams before, manipulated them, battled them. I see him being able to figure out Gray Man eventually and taking him down, but this is not an easy battle. Gray Man is very dangerous. Next, we have the Anti-Life Entity. This is another probable loss for me. I don't see Doctor Strange mustering up enough power to deal with the Anti-Life Entity. We saw Naboo wasn't enough to nuke. Like, that should probably be the signal, right? I see Doctor Strange failing to summon enough to handle this being. It's just too strong. It scales above him, and he wouldn't be able to do anything to it. I see him getting taken down. Next, we have Mordru. Mordru is someone I actually think is a little overhyped. He is a capable sorcerer. He did pull up on the Tower of Fate. However, when he fought Dr. Fate, he tried to use Dr. Fate's weapons and different trinkets and got melted, choked out by the cape. Hate to see it. Very dangerous, has seen a lot of shit, knows a lot of shit, but he's not more dangerous than Peak Strange. Strange would take him down after a tough battle. Next, we have Nagol again. He does come back. This is a Nagol who's very aware. Him and his realm can be destroyed. He was a little more cautious, a little smarter. It will be more dangerous than the first time around for Strange. But similar to how I said he would be able to clutch up against the first time he fought Nagol, I see this happening as well for him and see him taking him down. Next, we have the Apocalyptic Fate. This was essentially the time on Apocalypse where the helmet of Naboo, it basically backstabbed Fate and went to another host, which was the Apocalyptic Mage. So this is a mage who, with like recent access to the helmet, doesn't know as much and isn't as dangerous as the regular Dr. Fate. So I see him taking down High Diff, this Apocalyptic Fate, but having that helmet, being already an Apocalyptic Mage, is a tough-ass battle. But I do see him taking it High Diff. Next, we have Constantine and Swamp Thing. This was a situation in which Constantine had prepped, and Swamp Thing showing up to backing him up, right? And Swamp Thing obviously has the power of the green. I see it going either one of two ways. Doctor Strange takes out Constantine, focuses on the prepped Constantine, takes him down, deeming the magic as, very dangerous, or at that point Swamp Thing takes him out from behind, gets him while he's dealing with Constantine, or he takes out Swamp Thing, focuses on disconnecting him from the green, which Strange should be capable of, but in that time Constantine could take him down. I see him probably losing here, due to the duo having prepped and being ready for him. Naboo handled it with being just stronger than them outright. I don't think Strange would be stronger than them outright in this scenario, at least not to as extreme of a degree. So probably loses. Next, we have Phantom Stranger. I don't trust Phantom Stranger to win shit. Yes, I know he's pulled up on Dr. Fate. I know he's battled Spectre before, but this guy's a bum. He's dumb. He's gonna get cooked. He's gonna be dangerous just from his raw power and his connections to creation, but at the same time, it's not enough. He's either gonna get sealed or BFR'd. I see Strange eventually taking him down. Next, we have Etrigan the Demon. Etrigan is quite dangerous, being someone who tore the face off of a wild Spectre before, spits bars while trying to destroy you. Given this hellish being is quite strong, he would be capable of damaging and even killing Doctor Strange. I do, however, see Doctor Strange BFRing him, as Etrigan's likely going to be someone strong enough, if not stronger than Strange, given he's like the pinnacle of magic power. But I do see Etrigan getting BFR'd or sealed. Next, and finally, we have Upside Down Man. Upside Down Man, who was casually able to warp the God Sphere, took down First of the Fallen like one of his projections did. Unless Doctor Strange was to have help here, outside help him prepare, just gets taken down. Probably just not enough. just done for at that point. Upside Down Man would be too powerful. Now, if he was given insight on how to just challenge him to backwards magic and like willpower, yeah, sure, he could take him. But if he doesn't have that, he's probably cooked. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below of this video, how you think each does. Overall, in the end, Doctor Strange had 14 battles and potential losses. With 4 of them, I feel he loses. And on the other side, Dr. Fate had 11, or I'm sorry, yeah, it was 11. 11 of the battles and potential losses, with 3 of them being probable losses. So in the end, if you were to ask me, based on how we went about this, Fate would perform better, do a little better, mostly due to his raw power through Naboo. But guys, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? How do you see this going if they were to swap roles? Thank you guys so much for watching, and again, let me know what you're commenting who I should do swap roles for next. I kind of want to do some Spawn content, so let me know who he should swap roles with. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. It's been your boy Jobbers and Goons, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.